Welcome, 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 everyone, as you are joining us with live streaming coverage from the floor of ITW 2024. An exciting first day for sure as we kick off, again, the largest global gathering of telecommunications and digital infrastructure leaders in the country, but in the world. Global, guys. So my name is Jamie Scotto Kataya, CEO and founder. Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcast. Joining me here today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Alan Meeks. He's the president and COO of Mox Networks. Certainly a name that is gaining some headlines, some momentum. Can you just start telling us a little bit about Mox?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Appreciate you having me on the show. So Mox, the impetus of Mox is a healthcare network. So you can kind of think of us as like a healthcare content company that had to start its own carrier because we outgrew the traditional carrier.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've had to solve a lot of pain points for the doctor that owns us, and Nantworks, our parent company, that we just could not solve with traditional telcos. So we've gone out there and put ducks in the ground and built the routes that were pain points for us, with an eye towards the adjacent wholesale telco space, as to what else would be diverse and interesting to that space as well. So we're not just building for ourselves; we're thinking about the rest of the industry as we do that.
Brilliant. And so, what role does long haul infrastructure play into the growth of AI and other new tech?
Yeah, a great question. For us being, we can call us fancy plumbers. We just make the lines go between point A and point B, and we do nothing but dark fiber channel, which is colloquially known as spectrum in the industry, and wavelengths. Right. So we're all layer one. So when I can call AI a buzzword, but when buzzwords like this come up, whether it's edge or 5G or AI, really what it ends up meaning for companies like us and Mox is there's going to be a need for density of more fiber in more places, metro and long haul. How it really plays into long haul, though, is that most of the long haul, at least in North America, is fairly old. Any route that's built over a few hundred miles was probably done between the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
So most of that fiber is starting to age out, and the newer equipment, DWDM equipment, we're all Sienna shop best of breed. It doesn't tolerate high loss on fiber. So we need to rebuild the long haul networks so that they can support the AI applications that we're seeing as an onslaught right now.
Unbelievable. Absolutely brilliant. All right. So, why is backhaul and connectivity to new data centers and cable landing stations so important?
Yeah. So as originally with subsea cables, it was consortiums of carriers building them, and then you saw content players kind of get in those consortiums.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing content players building their own cables all on their own.
Yeah.
So they're not really thinking about the carrier when they're building those, right? But carriers still need to use capacity on them. So there's a niche that we've found in solving, from CLS's cable landing stations into major data centers and interconnection points, in sort of, we'll call them mid-mile builds, right? And so where we find those pain points where a content company solves it for themselves, they don't solve it for another carrier. And so let's say it's a carrier out of market. They're not licensed, let's say in North America or Canada, and they want to use capacity. So not only will they have to come buy dark fiber, they have to then come license in the country, and they have to get the support to be able to do, frontline maintenance and meet a 4-hour MTTR so they can access all the AMP sites along the way. That's a lot to do, especially if you're not a licensed carrier. So or in that country. So what we've done is kind of made an easy button from these cable landing stations back to the data centers and the interconnection points. A lot of times it starts as, dark fiber. And then when they realize the obligation and the time frame it's going to take them to turn it up, we get another call and they start asking us about dark fiber channel. Can we light the fiber for them? So we've really kind of hit our stride in building managed private networks in that niche.
Managed private networks for a healthcare niche. I just love it. I love it. It's brilliant. I'm listening to you. I'm like, it sounds like a carrier, but so not. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alan. Yeah. Guys, make sure you check out Mox Networks. What is the URL?
MoxNetworks.com.
MoxNetworks.com, guys. Check it out. Thank you for joining us, especially on this busy, incredible news-breaking day here at ITW. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV. Happy networking.
Hi, I'm Rob Bunger with Schneider Electric, and I'm the innovation product owner within the CTO office, which looks after our data center segment.
And hello everyone, my name is Mark Garner. I'm the Senior Vice President for our Secure Power Division here in Europe and France. Yeah, sure. So in a world where data centers, data in particular, and digital infrastructure is becoming part and parcel of our daily lives, it's critical that we start to look at how we harness the power of technology and greener data to combat the environmental topics that we have today. So the focus of the chapter is really around how we look into the new technologies coming into this space, how we accelerate the application of AI platforms to make sure that we reduce energy usage, emissions and waste through using new technologies like liquid cooling. Perhaps, Rob, if I hand over to you now, you could take us through the detail of the chapters and the different topics we touch on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so our chapter focuses on some key areas, and they include the adoption of renewable energy and energy storage and its role there. We talk about smart grids and microgrids of the data center. And then as we talked about the digitization of energy and then the role that data will play in improving our sustainability. And that data needs to be reflected in metrics and frameworks. And this is something that we've at Schneider have talked about for a number of years, of creating a standard framework to be able to measure and make continuous improvements. And the conversation would not be complete unless we talked about AI's impact in the data center, and then key technologies it's pulling along, like liquid cooling, and its effect on sustainability.
Yeah, a number of different aspects really. First and foremost, Schneider Electric is a global leader in digital transformation and energy management. We are truly focused around the sustainability agenda and have been so for many years now. So it felt really important with such an important book like Greener Data to ensure that Schneider Electric was involved in the book and contributing to it. The other aspect though is, to my first point, data is a part of our daily lives, whether it's what we do at work, what we do at home, what our children are doing. Data is around us everywhere now, and it's only going to become more and more commonplace. So greener data and developing a greener data infrastructure is going to be critical to the future of our communities and our lives. Increasing awareness around the data center industry and the greening of data center is something that's very close to my heart. Having been in the industry now for 5 or 6 years, it's very important to me that we bring it to more people and make more people aware of what the data center industry contributes to our daily lives.
Yeah, and I'll add that we are glad to be recognized leader for sustainable development. But I think recent years have been a stark reminder that there's a lot more work to be done. And with the greener data, bringing together industry leaders to discuss how digital infrastructure organizations are combating climate change, it really is a natural fit for our organization, and we're proud to contribute. With only 10 years to achieve the Paris Agreement and limit temperature rise to 1.5, all organizations need to accelerate their sustainability. So if we're able to push that along a little bit faster, it's something we firmly believe in here at Schneider Electric.
Yeah, so AI is obviously the topic on everyone's mind at the moment, but AI will change the way data centers are designed, built and operated in the foreseeable future. It's going to put more onus on sustainability demands in data centers. The estimation we have here at Schneider Electric is that AI workloads is going to represent somewhere between 15 to 20% of total data center energy by 2028. That's a significant amount, so we need to design our AI data centers with sustainability in mind, making sure that it's there and ready to support our future.
Yeah, I fully agree, Mark. And AI is forcing us to really rethink how we design data centers. We've already seen, new ways to do things, and although we say it's 15 to 20%, these new ways to do it are highly sustainable and will proliferate across all types of data centers. So we do see it currently as a challenge on how do we tackle things, these high densities and liquid cooling, but ultimately a real opportunity to make the whole industry efficient and sustainable.
Welcome, 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 everyone, as we are streaming live here on the floor of ITW 2024. This is JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories and headlines from our leaders in the digital infrastructure industry. I'm Jamie Scott Okataya, CEO and founder of JSA, and joining me today is my friend Scott Willis, President and CEO of DartPoint. Scott, welcome back to JSA TV.
Thank you, Jamie. This is always good. So this ITW has been a great conference. I know it's just getting started, but it's been a lot of good sessions and a lot of good discussions. So I'm excited for what the next few days holds. It's been good.
And also, thank you again, your generous time today, but also your generous time these many, many months as we work together to create Greener Data Volume 2, Scott being a wonderful chapter author of this book. So check it out, Dart Points and Sustainability. The story is in the book.
Yep, great. And as I thanked you before, I appreciate the opportunity to do that. As I said to you before, I think JSA and your leadership in this is, there is not a more critical subject that we need to address as an industry. So was excited to be a part of that process. Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, today with Scott in the hot seat, we are talking market trends and outlook. Of course, DartPoint's really the industry leader, reimagining the future of performance-driven interconnection. So let's start there. AI. Might as well start with the tough questions, right? AI, hot topic these days. How do you envision AI really shaping the future of data center demand?
Yeah. So listen, AI. I mean, if there's a subject that's potentially as equivalent as sustainability, it could be AI. And AI is. I think we're just at such an exciting time from our industry. I've been in the technology industry for 30 plus years, long time. And I've seen technology trends come and grow. And certainly one of the things I would emphasize is AI is real. It's not a hype cycle that I think is going to gather a lot of momentum and then it's going to die out. It's real. And it has a tremendous impact on the data center sector, and particularly where DartPoint sit on the operator side. How you look at AI from an opportunity perspective is wonderful, but it also comes with challenges as an operator on how do you support it? How do you create the environment? How do you set your data center environment up to be able to support that in a sustainable, profitable way? So we're excited about the opportunities we're building around AI, but it certainly is not coming without its challenges as an operator in terms of how do we establish and position our platform to be able to execute and take advantage of that opportunity. So we're excited about it, but it certainly presents some real opportunities on how we're leading and building the business.
Truly transformative stuff. Absolutely. So another hot topic, we talked sustainability. It's in the book. We talk about AI, but M&A. It's a hot time right now with a lot of corporate M&A activity. You are speaking on a panel just this afternoon, right, today? So recent large corporate M&A activity, given your expertise in this industry, again, 30 plus years here, guys, we are leveraging. What can we learn about the future dynamics of this deal making, and how does DartPoints plan to navigate in this evolving landscape?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're right. So first of all, I am excited about the panel that I'm on. I think we've got a great moderator who's really setting us up, and we've got some great participants. It's going to be a fun conversation. But listen, M&A is if you look at the technology sector, if you look at digital infrastructure, right, and then I peel it down even into the data center sector, M&A has always played a critical role in this sector, right? And we see it every day, right? Across, if I bring it back up to digital infrastructure, whether it's towers or fiber or data center, across that, there's just a tremendous strategic driver behind why M&A makes a lot of sense, and I think that's going to continue. Right, there are ups and downs associated with M&A. A lot of it driven by economic dynamics that are going on. But if I look at where we are today, if I look at strategically the role M&A plays, that's going to continue to be one of the initiatives as an industry that we continue to lever, and that's very applicable to DartPoints as well. So we've been fairly acquisitive. M&A is a large factor of the platform that we've built today.
Yeah.
And I think that will continue as we look and grow and scale dart points going forward. I see M&A continuing to be a real strategic initiative in how we grow and scale this business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So again, looking forward, M&A hints definitely out there. But for you, what are the key priorities and strategies for dot points in the next several quarters looking forward?
Yeah, so our strategies are pretty clear as an operator and what we're focused on. First and foremost, we're very focused on executing the business, right? Just the fundamentals of what we're trying to do as we operate this business and as we grow this business quarter over quarter, year over year. That's important. Secondly, we talked about AI, right? We're building a very attractive pipeline, very much like all of the peer companies inside the data center sector are. And we're looking at how do we establish and build and grow our platform to support that, right? How do we support the densification of the workloads that AI is presenting to us as a business? So as I kind of look forward to the next couple of quarters, it's all about execution and ensuring that we continue to drive and manage this business the way that we're planning on an annual basis. And then it's how do we prepare the platform for all the opportunities that we see in our future so that we're best positioned to take advantage of those. And that's what we show up and do every day, and we're excited about it.
Brilliant. You heard it here first, guys. Strategic execution, I'm going to call that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much, Scott, for taking your time out of this crazy, busy, hectic ITW agenda that I know you're on, from speaking at panels to speaking here to so many of your clients and partners. We appreciate you always. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV. Happy networking.
A quick high-level overview of my chapter. On-site power generation for data centers, microgrids, leveraging one of the cleanest sources of fuel available, which is natural gas or hydrogen or biogas. We introduced the Bloom technology, but most importantly, I spent a lot of time writing about the fact that natural gas and taking steps to reduce carbon today using natural gas is the most effective thing we can do, certainly for a greener data center design, a greener future. I spent a lot of time going into the metrics around that as well. And the fact that natural gas, for some reason right now, has kind of a bad rap, especially when you're not burning anything. Bloom does not combust. Bloom is converting those molecules to electrons. And so I spend quite a bit of time in the chapter talking about how we can take pragmatic, real steps towards carbon reduction while solving the power problem we have with data centers, the utility problem.
My chapter is entitled Sustainability at Cell Towers. That's obviously an area of focus for me and something that we know a fair amount about. I read the Greener Data Issue Volume 1 and was very impressed with the content and the direction that it took. But I noticed that it was very data center centric. And I thought we need to contribute something that will include other aspects of digital infrastructure, such as towers, because it's an ecosystem, it's all tied together. Towers to fiber to data centers, all the traffic that comes off the towers ends up in data centers. So I thought a contribution that would relate to the tower aspect of the digital infrastructure would be useful and informative. The chapter covers the size of the tower market. We estimate in the United States there's about 185,000 towers that are used by the cellular carriers. That's about 10 times that internationally, and that doesn't even include 2 million towers in China that are state-owned and operated. Yeah, every tower has the mobile network operators as tenants. They install their radio equipment and antennas to broadcast signals over the air to our devices, our smartphones. and that takes up a lot of power. So when you extrapolate the numbers of towers times the numbers of tenants on those towers and the equipment that's being used and the power required at each site to run all of that, it adds up to pretty significant proportions of power consumption and drives a lot of considerations as to how do we sustain that, how do we make that more energy efficient, and how do we meet some greenhouse gas emission goals. There's actually, I talk in the chapter, there's 3 partners, if you will, on the tower. There's the tower company itself that owns the tower and the land under the tower. That's passive infrastructure. There's the mobile network operator that installs the radio and the base station equipment to broadcast and receive signals to and from devices. That's all active equipment and requires power. And then there's the manufacturers themselves of the radio equipment and the supporting infrastructure that are all contribute to making cell sites very power efficient and sustainable for the future. So I tried to encapsulate that in my chapter to demonstrate that there are other considerations within the ecosystem outside of data centers that need to be looked at and need to be addressed by the operators, and how to drive a very energy efficient operation.
So AI is a technology that, from the data center perspective, is requiring significantly more density. Now, at the same time, it's also an exponential technology. So the higher density means that previously maybe you had 5 kilowatt racks, and for a megawatt you used 200 racks. Now, if you have 100 kilowatt racks, you have 10 racks only. So what does this change mean for the data center space? So in addition to kind of moving fast ahead, the technology is exponential. So it kind of feeds, it needs more and more capacity. And at the same time, the overall requirement for the data center is changing. So the implication is that we're moving towards liquid cooling, and at the same time there are several different paths for that liquid cooling. So in this space that's moving fast and it's changing fast, how do you ensure that the data center remains sustainable and optimally becomes more sustainable, so that AI is actually part of the solution rather than the problem, if you will, with regard to the environment?
Welcome, 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 everyone. This is JSA TV and JSA Podcast live streaming on the floor of ITW 2024. This is an exciting day, exciting time. We are here covering from the leaders themselves the latest headlines from the show. I'm Jamie Scotto Kataya, CEO and founder of JSA, and joining me here today is the legend. I don't say that lightly, by the legend, Peter Aquino, founder and partner of Mercury Access Group, a telecommunications media and technology management group. So,
Thank you,
Pete,
Jamie.
welcome to JSA TV.
A legend in my mind, maybe.
Well, okay, guys, if you don't know, but Pete has been the founder, the CEO, the brains behind the brawn, I would should say, for such companies like RCN, Primus, INAP, you name them, and now we're talking Mercury Access
That's right.
Group.
I even did a spec.
Oh
So
yeah,
I've done it all. Done it all. Well, thank you for having me. Mercury Access is a fairly new company in the last year or so, where we put a bunch of entrepreneurs together to look at different companies that could use our expertise to help them get off the ground, maybe do a turnaround, maybe raise money. To the extent private equity firms need some diligence done, and then at the same time need to co-invest or have co-investors work on the project with them. We're right there with them, very aligned, and we started in the last 18 months, and we found a few nuggets in terms of companies we could help. And the one we're excited about today and the announcement that JSA put out for us is Extracta, a group. It's a group out of Miami, and they started off as engineers building fiber to the home. And lo and behold, a lot of the raceways were occupied by copper cables. And everyone's heard about copper and lead and potentially some of the environmental things that uh, they may cause over time, because these cables have been put in over 100 years ago.
wow.
And they're kind of blocking the way for new fiber expansion. So what we have discovered with Extracta is that it really takes some expertise and infrastructure to scale up, because the world is full of copper underground on poles that's blocking the way for new fiber expansion. And the more interesting thing that I really think is the secret sauce is that copper has some serious intrinsic value. So you can sell copper today per pound nearly $5 a pound.
Wow.
A year ago, it was $3 and change, and not too long ago before that, $2 and change. So you can fund the whole
Wow.
extraction process by pulling out that copper and selling it on the markets.
So wait, as a network operator, I'm sitting here and I have cable that's just not copper cable. That's just not doing anything great
It could
for
be
me.
dead cables, yeah.
And I can call, well, not you, but Extractor Group, your
Extractor
partner,
Group, yep.
and they will help me sort of harvest this, if you will.
Basically, they call it a retirement program.
Retirement program. That's
so
better.
what Extractor would do is start a program where they'll bring in engineers. They'll look at where all the copper cables are today, manhole by manhole, pole by pole, and they'll create a database and say, here's all the stranded facilities that you have.
I mean,
okay?
why?
And it's miles,
What?
miles and miles. And some of the cables are dead. Some of the cables may need the traffic migrated from copper to fiber. So you got to engineer that, and you got to
Right.
move it. And then you got to get the guys together really to organize a way to get it out of the ground, chop up the cables, clean the cables, put them in containers, and send them to the market. And that program, that retirement program, is was professionalized by Extracta.
Nice.
And it's over the last few years that they really perfected how to do it in a way that's efficient and actually produces income for the telco that is selling, they're selling the copper on the markets and pays for the extraction and has money left over. It's
So,
incredible.
yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you call Extracta?
Why
This
wouldn't
kind
you
of-
do it? Right?
But there's also a recycling, going to sustainability, a big topic here on the floor today. But I feel like there's a need to get copper that's just laying around and getting it back into a recycled.
Well, it's in the past, fiber was replacing copper,
Right.
and there was room probably to put the fiber either in a new raceway or inside of a pole space. But what's happening with the expansion of fiber, there's no space. So you need to get in that raceway where the copper is already abandoned potentially. You got to get it out. But what's really creating the urgency is that the copper itself has value. So there's a real asset that we call it a hidden asset. That is not many times you can really find that in the world, where something is hidden, you take it out, you sell it. The monetization makes you feel like you're doing a couple things. You're saving on OpEx because now you're all fiber, but the copper itself has enough value that not only pays for the project, but can pay for the fiber project. So that's real money.
I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. You have a way of always going where the puck is heading, not where it's been. You really do keep a strategic eye on the horizon for us. So
I got to give Extracta credit because they saw this as a real opportunity.
brilliant.
And when I came in and with my team at Mercury, we basically said, you don't know what you got.
Yeah.
So we got to help you. So we worked our way to convince them that we need to be part of that team. And that's one of our first deals that we did that we're so proud of.
Well, we are excited to be announcing this big news. Again, on the floor, guys, of ITW 2024. I almost said 2014. That's how old I am. All right. So Mercury Access Group, guys, absolutely a company to watch with the incredible management team in place, but also their partners, Extracta Group. That news hitting the wires as we speak. Thank you so much for joining us on
Jamie,
such a busy
as always.
ITW day.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV. Happy networking.
Thank you.
Yeah, the chapter that I've written is about painting the right picture around business cases, particularly around sustainability business cases. And the most important part is that we see regularly when we're talking to customers about how business cases are presented to the C-suite and how a lot of them sometimes really don't get across and be approved. There's a very common case where no is one of the easiest answers that comes back from the senior management team. So the purpose of the chapter is to really break down what makes a really good business case and hopefully enables the reader to understand how they can structure it to make sure that they do get the approval. Key points and key takeaways from those things are about knowing the future of your business and really forward scanning the market to really help the C-suites understand how their environment is changing and why the business case can really help the organization move forward. Second more important point is around really knowing your numbers. It's very easy to assume that sustainability business case is all about carbon reduction, but ultimately it's about making sure that you really know the numbers because it really needs to make a financial benefit into the organization as well as an environmental benefit as well. And then one of the most important parts of delivering a sustainability business case is about making sure that you use the right language. Within the world of sustainability, we're very good at making sure that it all gets very complicated, and therefore only the ones that are involved in the markets really understand all the abbreviations, etc. And making sure that you want to really get your business case approved means that you really need to simplify the language and make sure it is absolutely crystal clear on what you're requesting and the timelines that you're looking for the paybacks to be presented to the business as well. So those are the three key takeaways from the chapter.
Yeah, sure. So in a world where data centers, data in particular, and digital infrastructure is becoming part and parcel of our daily lives, it's critical that we start to look at how we harness the power of technology and greener data to combat the environmental topics that we have have today. So the focus of the chapter is really around how we look into the new technologies coming into this space, how we accelerate the application of AI platforms to make sure that we reduce energy usage, emissions and waste through using new technologies like liquid cooling. Perhaps, Rob, if I hand over to you now, you could take us through the detail of the chapters and the different topics we touch on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so our chapter focuses on some key areas, and they include the adoption of renewable energy and energy storage and its role there. We talk about smart grids and microgrids of the data center. And then as we talked about the digitization of energy and then the role that data will play in improving our sustainability. And that data needs to be reflected in metrics and frameworks. And this is something that we've at Schneider have talked about for a number of years, of creating a standard framework to be able to measure and make continuous improvements. And the conversation would not be complete unless we talked about AI's impact in the data center, and then key technologies it's pulling along, like liquid cooling, and its effect on sustainability.
Yeah, so our chapter is about how data centers can actually be used to solve potentially UN SDG 6, people not having access to water, and UN SDG 7, people not having access to electricity, by thinking outside of the box and placing them, as I mentioned in the introduction, in emerging market rural areas, these micro data centers that are powered by solar. So really the chapter just kind of goes into how we sort of came to the idea, then also some of the trials and tribulations of being an early stage startup relying on a brand new technology like Starlink, and what are some of the early outcomes of our initial prototypes and projects. And finally, the most important is how we see this scaling up and what this will look like in the future.
Sure, the EcoSense chapter is on accelerating data center sustainability journeys. And we spent many years developing innovative energy efficiency solutions for data centers. So it's exciting for me, and I have to say long overdue, to see data center sustainability and the whole greener data center movement start to get some real momentum. Key takeaways from the chapter. It really is around data center workload is only going one way, and that was long before obviously the much heralded AI deployments and the huge growth coming down the pipe from AI. But it's a challenge, so balancing this unprecedented, almost once in a lifetime workload growth against non-negotiable energy efficiency programs is just a massive challenge for the whole industry. So we look at ways how you can balance this huge growth while still delivering on energy efficiency programs. And it's just vital that you have the right tools, the right processes to make informed decisions based on very real-time data sets that deliver ultimately tangible deliverables to make energy efficiency savings.
Welcome, 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 everyone. We are live streaming at ITW 2024, and this is an exciting time. Major headlines dropping as we speak. I'm Jamie Scotto-Kataya, CEO and founder of JSA, and this is JSA TV, JSA Podcast. Joining me today, I am thrilled to have Tito Costa. He is the Chief Revenue Officer of Alea Data Centers, of course, Brazil's leading eco-friendly digital infrastructure platform. Tito, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
It is an exciting time and a crazy time. Let's talk sustainability.
Yes.
And what are we seeing with all this crazy weather patterns? Of course, huge flooding in Porto Alegre.
Yes.
And tell me, you have 2 data centers there. How are you doing?
Yes, it has been a very challenging moment for us in Brazil. As you mentioned, Porto Alegre is under a huge flood now, a lot of rains and stuff. So unfortunately, the river or the lagoon, or whatever you may call it, rose a lot. It affected a little bit of our operations over there, but luckily we have 2 data centers there. One of them fully operational, so 95%-ish of our workload is untouched by the water. So we have been seeing a lot of involvement from the local community. A lot of enterprise companies that were literally underwater are bringing equipment by boat into our facility. So it's crazy. So it's almost a war zone kind of thing. But luckily, we're still operational. We are helping and supporting the community. But as you said, it's totally attached to this ecosystem thing and what's going on with nature and globally. I mean,
Climate crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you don't recognize it as is. And,
it is.
And for sure, sustainability at the forefront, thankfully, of Alea's mission.
Yes.
Tell us about how you prioritize this and really why it's so important to your company.
Well, it's I mean, as you look into the situation in Porto Alegre, for us, it's super important. It's not about greenwash anything. I mean, we we source our power 100% is renewable sources, so we are 100% committed to those type of energy. We are also just recently we raised a sustainability linked bond, so attached with WEs, PUEs, so that affects the interest rate of our bond. So we are fully committed to what's going on over there, and also it's the first time that a Latin America company attached other metrics which are around what's going on with women in our industry. We're pushing the boundaries towards the amount of women in leadership. That's also one of the metrics that we have in the sustainability linked bond. So we are also trying to push a little bit on that because within the data center industry, as you know, we have just so many women working over there.
Incredibly forward-looking. Incredible.
Yes.
I've never heard of attaching it to the bond like that. Clearly,
It is.
putting your.
If I do, I
money
mean, one woman less in the leadership of the company, that affects our interest rate. So that's how much we are
Amazing.
invested in this movement.
Love that. Thank
Thank you.
All right, and we also should say Brazil.
Yes.
Incredible growth market, significant, particularly in the technology sector.
It is.
How are you even able to meet these growing demands? It's insane.
Well, it is. I mean, the problems that you see worldwide in terms of power, they are majorly linked towards the transmissions of the power, not only the generation aspect of it. What happens in Brazil that doesn't happen anywhere else, or at least doesn't happen in the US, is that we not only have a green type of utility in Brazil, 70-ish, 75% of the Brazilian utility comes from renewable sources, but also in Brazil, we are allowed to build the transmission lines and then give that back to the utility provider. That makes a difference because now we don't have that bottleneck that some companies are facing in the US and in Mexico, for example. We don't have those in Brazil. So I feel like our idea of growing outside the big tier 1 metros like Rio and São Paulo, for example, going to Porto Alegre, Curitiba, Brasilia, and other cities that we are exploiting now, position ourselves into the, as of now, only data center platform that's willing to push content data outside of the core of the country. Brazil is bigger than Rio and São Paulo, and I feel like the majority of the international companies that I talk with are beginning to understand that and are willing to make that move towards a little bit closer to the edge.
Again, incredibly forward thinking. Unbelievable.
Well, I like to say that we are in the right path. I don't know if that's that forward, but yeah, I feel like we tend to go a little bit deep than all the other players over there.
From what I'm seeing,
Yeah,
yes.
good.
All right, AI. Can't get you off this hot seat without talking AI.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, it's dominating our
hype.
conversation here at
Yeah.
ITW. Also dominating our industry, our need for more,
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
How are you preparing for the increased workload and needed capacity?
So, as coming back from the utility side of it, when you talk about the capacity of having, we can actually have access to power in Brazil with fairly easily compared to the U.S. and other countries in Latin America. What comes to mind is also the flexibility of the buildings that you have to put in place, because the data center that you are building now, within 2 years, let me backstep a little bit. 5 years from now, whenever you come to an ITW or a PTC conference, the usual density of a cabinet would be around 10-ish kilowatt per cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
From 2 years from now we are reaching 15, and now we are talking 40. Chances are I just came from San Jose. NVIDIA just deployed a one node, 2 cabinets, 120 kilowatt per cabinet.
Yes.
And this is yesterday, right? And we have to build data centers now that will live for 20 years. What will happen with cap density throughout this period of time? So you need to build flexible, and luckily at ELEA we have been able to do that. We have been retrofitting the data centers that we had before. So a little bit on the sustainability side of things. We are not just dumping old buildings. We are trying to repurpose the buildings that we currently have and operate. But also, whenever we are looking for the land banks that we have attached to our data centers or within the metros where we operate, we are always looking into the opportunity of putting liquid cooled solutions that we are trying to, again, forward thinking a little bit, what will be the capacity or density of those cabinets in 5-10 years from now. So yeah, that's what we have been doing. We have ready to go liquid cooled data center expansion to be put together in São Paulo. Looking forward to do that also in Rio and our expansions in Brasilia. So yeah, that's pretty much what we have been doing. And looking forward for what will land in our facility.
Incredible. Guys, you've heard it here first. Tito Costa, the Chief Revenue Officer at ELEA Data Centers, Brazil's leading eco-friendly digital infrastructure platform. Got an incredible job.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you also, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV. Happy networking.
Bye-bye.
The chapter deals into the realm of the green data centers, addressing the imperative of balancing technologies expansion with environmental responsibility. It emphasizes the necessity of transitional towards the sustainable practices to mitigate the environmental impact of data centers. We have talked about few strategies, including optimizing the energy efficient infrastructure, harnessing renewable energy sources, overcoming the challenges such as high initial cost and legacy infrastructure. There, we also incorporated few case studies where we highlight how successful implementation eventually helped the organization to bring all those sustainability initiatives within the business and demonstrate the successful benefits, including cost reduction as well as decreased carbon emissions.
Yeah. So the key takeaways for the chapter, I was so excited to be able to participate in this project. I mean, first and foremost, sustainability is one of the core values that we have here at DartPoint. So this is not only important to us from as we evolve as a data center operator, but it's truly important to us as a company that we contribute as we think about the impacts that our business has on the environment and how we can always look to improve that and be more competitive. But the title of my chapter is really the interconnect domain between finance, sustainability, and innovation. And I was so excited to get that as our title because it really covers the entire ecosystem end to end as it relates to the data center sector and the impacts that the data center sector is having on the environment. And really, the four key takeaways that I would identify in our chapter are really first and foremost is growth that the sector is experiencing. When you think about data demand and you think about where data centers sit in the ecosystem, right? We're at the core of what drives that data demand, not only today, but these enormous future projections, right? The ecosystems that we create in our facilities are really the drivers that enable all that. So that's one, right? How sustainable is that going forward, and what are the impacts on the environment, given just the enormous power demand that our ecosystems create, and particularly when you think about the tailwinds of AI and machine learning type opportunities, that demand only exponentially grows. The second point, really, in our chapter, is really about capital. Right, we're a business that requires an enormous amount of capital to continue to grow. We are a capital-intensive business, and the chapter that we were able to participate in really addresses the impact of capital coming into the industry, the impact of sustainability, and particularly around the new entrance of capital coming into the market and how they want to focus capital being deployed in a very sustainable way. And so we really address that, and I'm excited about the impacts that's having on the industry. The third one is innovation, right? That's what DartPoints is all about. We consider ourselves really to be thought leaders in the industry, right? We want to be perceived as innovators. When you think about sustainability, and I mentioned the power demand in the industry, generally people tend to just kind of think about alternative power sources, whether that's wind or whether it's other types of power solutions that are being talked about. But when you really understand what's going on within the data center ecosystem, that's just one component, right? Design, processes, tools, procedures, technology, right? How you become very efficient through advanced technology and innovation. All of that end-to-end ecosystem really comes into play when you begin to think about sustainability within the data center sector, and how do you really maximize the benefit that we can have on the environment. And then, of course, the last one of the key learning is the customer, right? That is clearly an environment where if you want to be relevant as a data center provider, not only today, but in the future, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, you have to evolve your thinking, the way we build our platforms, the way we deploy our platforms, all has to have a mindset of sustainability, because customers today, whether you're engaging in a prospective discussion as they look at you as a potential partner, or they're a customer in your existing environment, they're demanding solutions that are environmentally friendly. And if you want to continue to do business with them, you've got to be able to deliver and demonstrate that that's a direction you're developing and evolving your company. So those are really the four key takeaways and the four areas that we focus on within our chapter within the book.
Welcome, everyone, to JSA TV and JSA Podcast live streaming here at ITW 2024. I'm Jamie Scotto-Kataya, CEO and founder of JSA, and I am thrilled and honored to be here with John Bruner, CEO of Aegis Mobile. John, welcome back to JSA TV.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. It's a great honor to be here.
Thank you. I know ITW has such a crazy agenda every half hour, every hour you are booked. So thank you for providing us with some of your time and insight, making a little time for our JSA audience. We appreciate that. All right. So tomorrow you are on the speaking docket. You have a roundtable on a very important topic. We all need to hear a little bit more about digital identity. Can you tell us what critical topics that are going to be covered in that roundtable, perhaps?
Sure, it's an interesting roundtable in that they're taking a different approach. It's going to be kind of breaking into groups and having the groups come with their ideas as to what they are facing in the digital identity space. I can tell you that some of the challenges that are happening in the telecommunications industry around messaging and calling are the ability to create known sender and known caller, especially at scale, because in order to kind of protect all consumers, you need to be able to identify and show the consumer who's calling them or who is messaging them. And that really takes scale to make it work for all businesses and industry.
And what are some of the challenges for digital identity? What do you hope to really explore with this roundtable opportunity?
Well, what's interesting is there's a big push towards branded messaging and branded calling. So what that means is that when you receive a call or you receive a text message, you're actually going to see the brand logo of the company calling you. Now, that means there's a lot of complexity, though, in terms of creating a structure that's secure, that ensures that a phone number is not being spoofed and matched to a brand logo and then passed through as if they are, who they claim to be, and they're not. So there's all kinds of architectures that are being built and put into place that can control and ensure that the number calling is in fact owned and the rights to use are for that company, and that the brand logo, there are rights to use that brand logo, and then therefore the consumer can not only see, they can see who's coming at them and decide whether or not they should engage it.
So complex, and I am so glad Aegis Mobile is there to help us navigate through this. Let us talk a little bit about Aegis. It's crazy, right? The mobile ecosystem, so evolving. Where is your role in shaping the solutions for the future in the mobile ecosystem?
Okay, well, thank you. So Aegis has been in the compliance business for roughly 18 years now, providing a number of services that are designed to protect consumers on behalf of the telecommunications carriers. For example, in the U.S., that's T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. And what we have a number of services, but the first is that we do identity and verification of companies that they are who they say they are. Secondly, we can do behavioral background checks of companies in seconds and provide risk scores that determine whether or not they are going to likely attack consumers. And we do this at scale. So today for the US 10DLC messaging channel, we receive 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 companies every day. They get processed through our vetting platform to make sure that they have no history of consumer harm in their background. Other things we do, though, is we get complaint data from customers for where we get the whole message, for example, that they receive that they say is spam. And we get millions of those, and we're using AI tools to actually read those messages, determine if they're truly harmful. If they are truly harmful, we try to track them back to the registry to see if we can figure out who's behind it and how do we shut them down. And this is just two of a dozen different products that we have to work for the telecom industry to protect consumers.
Unbelievable and so incredibly needed. The use of SMS messaging by brands really potentially leads to so much exploitation for spam, fraud, exceptional financial loss. I was just saying before we were rolling here, I was like, I recently fell for a scam and I feel horrible about it, but they're getting so professional now that even someone who's been reporting on this activity for so long, we think we know better, but it's almost getting impossible to figure this out. How does Aegis help to mitigate these losses?
Yes, so one of the things that I mentioned that we implemented in partnership with a company called TCR is a registry where thousands of brands come in every day saying that they want to be able to text message their customers. And so by having a registry, knowing the phone numbers that they're using, knowing the companies there, that they are who they say they are, and doing these background checks, plus getting all the complaint data in case they do turn bad after getting in, it really allows us to create an ecosystem that becomes much, much safer over time as you identify and weed out the bad actors. The other reason that vetting and verifying businesses up front at scale in a registry is important is that once you identify a bad actor, you can prevent them from coming back by taking all the data you have and doing a background check on them and moving it to a bad actor database. And every company that comes in and registers, we're looking for matches to those bad actors so that we can actually raise the flags and say, this company was harming consumers. We now see them re-registering with a new name and some new information, but we can tie this back to the company that was harming consumers, and therefore they can't come back. So unfortunately, it is an evolutionary process. And it's not just the vetting and identity up front that stops it. It's a whole process of compliance tools and there are many companies providing great solutions, all of us working together in the ecosystem to identify these bad actors and then prevent them from coming back once we shut them down.
That's brilliant. And it makes complete sense. You have to vet up front. And through the time, that database will grow and we'll know the bad actors. Smart. It's a long, scalable solution. I love that.
It's no different than what any large company does for supply chain.
Yeah.
Right? As they bring on vendors to provide services, they want to know who they're dealing with.
Smart.
It's the same thing.
Very smart. Thank you so much, John. I know your time is so valuable and we are so appreciative of you sharing your insight here today for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV, live from ITW 2024. Happy networking.
Hi, I'm Rob Bunger with Schneider Electric, and I'm the innovation product owner within the CTO office, which looks after our data center segment.
And hello everyone, my name is Mark Garner. I'm the Senior Vice President for our Secure Power division here in Europe and France. Yeah, sure. So in a world where data centers, data in particular, and digital infrastructure is becoming part and parcel of our daily lives, it's critical that we start to look at how we harness the power of technology and greener data to combat the environmental topics that we have today. So the focus of the chapter is really around how we look into the new technologies coming into this space, how we accelerate the application of AI platforms to make sure that we reduce energy usage, emissions and waste through using new technologies like liquid cooling. Perhaps, Rob, if I hand over to you now, you could take us through the detail of the chapters and the different topics we touch on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so our chapter focuses on some key areas, and they include the adoption of renewable energy and energy storage and its role there. We talk about smart grids and microgrids of the data center. And then as we talked about, the digitization of energy and then the role that data will play in improving our sustainability. And that data needs to be reflected in metrics and frameworks. And this is something that we've at Schneider have talked about for a number of years, of creating a standard framework to be able to measure and make continuous improvements. And the conversation would not be complete unless we talked about AI's impact in the data center, and then key technologies it's pulling along, like liquid cooling, and its effect on sustainability.
Yeah, a number of different aspects really. First and foremost, Schneider Electric is a global leader in digital transformation and energy management. We are truly focused around the sustainability agenda and have been so for many years now. So it felt really important with such an important book like Greener Data to ensure that Schneider Electric was involved in the book and contributing to it. The other aspect though is to my first point, data is a part of our daily lives, whether it's what we do at work, what we do at home, what our children are doing. Data is around us everywhere now, and it's only going to become more and more commonplace. So greener data and developing a greener data infrastructure is going to be critical to the future of our communities and our lives. Increasing awareness around the data center industry and the greening of data center is something that's very close to my heart. Having been in the industry now for 5 or 6 years, it's very important to me that we bring it to more people and make more people aware of what the data center industry contributes to our daily lives.
Yeah, and I'll add that we are glad to be recognized leader for sustainable development. But I think recent years have been a stark reminder that there's a lot more work to be done. And with the greener data, bringing together industry leaders to discuss how digital infrastructure organizations are combating climate change, it really is a natural fit for our organization, and we're proud to contribute. With only 10 years to achieve the Paris Agreement and limit temperature rise to 1.5, all organizations need to accelerate their sustainability. So if we're able to push that along a little bit faster, it's something we firmly believe in here at Schneider Electric.
Yeah, so AI is obviously the topic on everyone's mind at the moment, but AI will change the way data centers are designed, built, and operated in the foreseeable future. It's going to put more onus on sustainability demands in data centers. The estimation we have here at Schneider Electric is that AI workloads is going to represent somewhere between 15 to 20% of total data center energy by 2028. That's a significant amount, so we need to design our AI data centers with sustainability in mind, making sure that it's there and ready to support our future.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Welcome, 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 everyone. We are live streaming from ITW 2024. This is JSA TV and JSA Podcast, your newsroom for digital infrastructure. I am Jamie Scotto-Kataya, CEO of JSA. And joining me here today, I am so excited to be speaking with Jeff Geiser. He is the Vice President of Customer Engagement with Zenlayer. Jeff, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me today.
We are so thrilled, so excited. And by the way, Zenlayer killing it.
I love hearing that. That's
you guys, of course, known for your connectivity and its amazing impact in emerging markets. So let's start there. What regions are presenting the most opportunities for you?
Yeah, we're deployed worldwide. So we've got a big deployment in the US and Europe, but you're right. Where we really focus our energy is in the emerging markets. And we have companies talking to us about Middle East and India and South America and Africa. But I think I don't think there's any conversation that happens without talking about Asia.
Yeah.
It probably holds the most promise. And when you look at Asia as an opportunity for global companies, it's got amazing growth. So I think 60% of GDP growth this year is coming from Asia. And most companies, if they haven't, if they're not already in Asia, they're certainly looking to deploy there and expand a footprint. So Asia is probably where we have the most conversations and holds the most promise.
Yeah, no, and you guys are, again, everywhere in Asia, I feel like.
Yeah.
Totally getting that market. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that go along with all this expansion?
Yeah, I think most companies have probably taken a look at Asia. And there are a couple of approaches they've taken. One is they might have already deployed in some central locations in Asia, and they're challenged with just the end user experience.
Right.
So latency challenges, or maybe they're even serving it from other regions. And so they really want to improve the user experience across that region. But then when you look to go deploy in Asia, it's a highly fragmented market. You've got to work with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different network providers. So it's a very complex environment to manage on your own. And then every single country is different in terms of regulatory requirements, compliance requirements. So it extends your time to market. It's complex to undertake as an organization. So partnerships in the region are really, really critical.
Very critical. So, what makes Zenlayer a great partner, especially for enterprises looking to expand into these Asia?
Yeah, so we look to just make it as easy as possible and provide very fast, flexible service. So we've deployed in 300 POPs worldwide.
Wow.
And in each one of our POPs, we'll deploy a compute stack of some variety. We'll deploy virtual machines, bare metal, maybe customized bare metal. So if you have some really unique requirements in region that you need to have deployed, we can do that in those POPs. Most of that's available on our console, so you can just point and click and deploy very quickly. But we've got a lot of flexibility in terms of compute. And then we interconnect all of those POPs with networks. So we run our own private backbone. We've got a 130 terabit per second backbone.
Wow.
Private backbone that you can leverage for regional capacity, regional connectivity, or connectivity worldwide. And then we also provide our own IPT BGP blend. So low latency access to local networks, eyeball networks. And so our goal in those markets, anytime we provide our BGP blend, is really like low latency, sub 25 millisecond connectivity to all end users in that particular city and or country. And then, of course, we provide kind of east-west connectivity, if you will, connectivity to cloud providers, major hyperscalers, probably other partners that you might already be deployed with, so that we can connect those public or private compute stacks to the compute stacks we're helping you deploy.
Wow. You see, yeah, you just touched on so many pain points that I know a lot of friends in our industry are experiencing, and you guys are clearly a great partner for them to research. But before I let you go, I want to know any big news or news that you might have here at ITW?
Yeah, so to dovetail, obviously the goal is to make it very, very easy to deploy in these markets. So one of the things we're really excited about is we've expanded our ability to deploy a single port, multi-access port. Single port in a region gives you access to all of our services on the network. So you can deploy a single port on our console, get access to our backbone, our IPT, all of our cloud services, remote office connectivity. And then we've also expanded our availability of 100 gig ports. And then I guess lastly, we're talking about Asia. So we've spent a lot of time improving our fabric in Asia. So we're connecting major cities, connecting all of our POPs with a very low latency, high bandwidth metro connectivity to improve connectivity in major hubs in each of the Asia markets as well.
Well, I am so glad you guys are on the job here, because our industry needs good connectivity, high bandwidth. I mean, you guys are the answers to our tomorrow's problems and challenges. So we adore you. Thank you so much.
We'll try to live up to the challenge.
You're doing it. You're doing it. All right, guys. There you have it. Jeff Geiser, VP of Customer Engagement with Zenlayer. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV. Happy networking.